T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
Well, thank you, Lugs. I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir. Welcome. We're going to dip into the other stuff category tonight with some promotions you're surely not going to want to miss. Plus, did you see that Game 6 of the Celtics versus Heat? That was one for the ages. We'll talk about the NBA Finals, which are set. Who will take it all? Only we know that answer. And we have some NFL news and notes. It's not too late to leave this program, but this is sports and other stuff. We're flipping our lids, as the guy said in the song. Good to see you, boys. Lugs, turning to you now. Eastern Conference Finals. Boston just couldn't come back all the way. Are the Heat a team of destiny?
Well, we'll see about that. Destiny can be a funny creature, really. I tell you, in that seventh game, as soon as Jason Tatum turned his ankle, he was out of it. I mean, he never was a factor after that. And then the Heat's Caleb Martin had the game of his life. So you had Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. I mean, they just pushed it and they just took it to him 103-84. So Boston failed to come back from 3-zip. But I think what it did was it saved Joe Mazzulla's job, honestly. I think he'll get a second chance now. So, but that Game 6, wow.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler had to hit those three field goals. And then, I mean, it was kind of like that NC State win all those years ago for Jim Valvano. You know, it's just a throw-up prayer, and a guy just tapped it in.
You mean the way he runs around the floor and nobody wants to talk to him?
Right, nobody will hug him. That
was a sad moment, actually. I thought that was very sad.
Yeah, but Thurl Bailey is the guy who did the tip in. So he's still living off of that in Carolina.
He did it thoroughly, I believe.
So, Dog, go ahead, my friend, you Boston Celtic fan, you.
I have to agree with you. The thing that's kind of a bummer is right from the get-go. I'm not going to say they're going to win because and like you said, I think Mazzulla does keep his job. He was outcoached severely in this game. And I'm not going to put it all on Mazzulla. Obviously, when Tatum tweaked that ankle at the very beginning of the game, because he is their best playmaker, and with his mobility compromised, he just was unwilling to kind of drive or drive to the hoop like he regularly does. And that put the ball in Brown's hand more. And Jalen, he has a lot of good attributes. His handles is not one of them. He turned the ball over 8 times. They settle for a lot of 3-pointers. And, as bad as even though they won Game 6, they were so horrendous in Game 3 at 3-point shooting. You think they'd be better. They shot 21%. They were 9 of 42 from the 3, where the Heat were 14 of 28. So they hit, 50% of their 3-pointers. So that was a big difference in the game. And Lugs pointed out too, Caleb Martin, this whole series he was the big difference. For the regular season, he averaged like 9 points a game. This series, he averaged 19.2. And he just was out of his mind for this game. He was 11 of 16, 4 from 6 from 3-point. And like I said, I give a lot of credit, to them identifying players and Spoelstra coaching them up. For him, Vincent, to play like he did, even Duncan Roberts. He had some moments last night too. So they're just a well-coached team. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to matter when it comes to Denver. Denver has as much talent as the Celtics and are better coached. And I just don't see Jokic being shut down like Tatum at times felt like he still kind of disappears, where I don't think that'll ever happen with Jokic in the finals. So,
But wait a minute, Jimmy Butler, man, he'll be the MVP of the finals.
you think so?
No, Lugs. What do you think? Who's going to win this thing, man? Is it a sweep by the Nugs?
Well, one of the things we know is that the Nuggets have had plenty of rest time.
That's true.
And Miami has been playing solid. I mean, hard games now for the entire tournament. You know, they're number 8 seed, so they've had to go through every layer of this thing. I give it to Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo has had himself decent games, but Jimmy Butler is MVP right now. Period of the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned. But Jokic and those guys, they're ready. You can, they've watched every bit of film. They're ready. So I think it'll be either 4-0 or
sweep.
It'll be 3-1 going in. Maybe it's going to be tough for them, for the Heat.
I think the Heat win 1 or 2 games. I think it's maybe Denver in 6 or 5. But I just think, kind of like what Lugs pointed out, like just all these extra games that the Heat have played, and also they're just not as deep. I mean, the Nuggets have like a decent bench.
Plus, they're only getting like 2 nights off, right? It starts Thursday, so man.
And on top of it too, they play in Denver, so it is a higher altitude, so that will affect them. That's another section that will affect the Heat more so than Denver, because obviously all their players are acclimated to the higher altitude of play. And if you watch Denver, the problem the Celtics ran into is Celtics have enough talent in comparison to the Heat. They should just have tried to stress going up and down the court to wear out the more limited roster of the Heat, and they just seem to slow the game down. That will not happen with the Nuggets. Even though Jokic is not fleet of foot, if you watch him, he tries to go full tilt as much as possible. Obviously, Jamal is going to go at the rim. They have Porter. They have Caldwell Pope. They have Brown coming off the bench. All these guys are going to be they're going to be going pedal to the metal this whole game. So like I think they're going to try to wear out the Heat, who've just been overexerted, I think, during this Eastern Conference stretch, and I think that's going to be the big key.
Yeah, we'll see.
And the Nuggets are healthy. Period. I don't think any of them have any nicks or bangs at this point. Whereas Vincent, he may still be favoring that ankle, but they'll take. I'm sure they'll take it to 5 games at least just to get that TV money. So
they call up. We need one more game. We need to sell out that sponsorship. One more game.
Yeah,
take a hit.
Because State Farm, they've got to get in whoever is their latest pitch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who are they going to get? As far as an athlete.
Well, they're probably safe to go back and get Aaron Rodgers now that he's in New York. They got all kinds of storylines they could whip up in the Big Apple with that fella, couldn't they?
Yeah, but that'll wait until football season. They've got to get a basketball player to come in, I would say. But, who knows?
State Farm. Yeah, like a good neighbor. All right, so that's it. NBA Finals start Thursday, June 1st, and may go 4, may go 5, 6, who knows? 7. No, don't think so. All right, so NFL news, we've got a little bit on the docket, not a whole lot. T-Dog, you wanted to talk about Jimmy, our favorite, Garoppolo, Jimmy G, Las Vegas Raiders.
There's a lot to talk about. Jimmy Garoppolo, and I just want to say as a disclaimer, I do think he will play. Just mainly because after kind of looking at the lay of the land in certain areas and scenarios, this is their best scenario to win, because Josh McDaniels, even though this is only year 2, I don't know how comfortable his seat is. I think it has to be getting a little warm for how much they put money into, getting Devontae Adams and how they kind of crapped the bed last year. The Jimmy Garoppolo injured his foot last year, and then he had surgery, and it gave enough concern for the Raiders that they put an addendum G in his contract. It essentially allows them to waive him if he does not pass the physical, if he doesn't play a regular season game, or if he doesn't re-injure his foot in scenarios stated in the contract. And on top of it, he had divided his money for this year into $11.2.5 million signing bonus and then $2.5 million salary. That has been converted now completely to salary to $22.5 million. So essentially, if they decide to not use him at all, they can cut him without any ramifications whatsoever in terms of salary. And just you look at his backups. I mean, it's Brian Hoyer, who has 3 starts in the last 5 years, and Aiden O'Connell, who, God bless him, he's a 2023 draft pick this year from the 4th round. Maybe down the road, he's an adequate starter.
He was Purdue,
more
right?
Journeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's got talent, but I don't know if he's ever going to be a starter. I mean, hopefully I eat crow and I'm wrong on him. And then, guys, you look at the free agents. It's Carson Wentz, who's turnover prone, who Josh McDaniels does not want a turnover prone quarterback. And he's also injured. And Teddy Bridgewater, who we all love, but, I mean, God bless him. Like, Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know if he lasted a single drive on 2 starts that he had last year with the Dolphins. I mean, if it gets really bad and they cut Jimmy, they're going to have to possibly trade for Bailey Zappi because at least he knows Josh McDaniels' offense. Or maybe Mac Jones. Maybe Belichick hates Mac Jones enough that maybe he trades Mac Jones. I don't know. But, guys, I'm just saying, I think the seat's warm on Josh McDaniels. And you look at that division, they got Mahomes or Herbert, and Sean Payton is going to have the Broncos being competitive.
True.
And I know Russell Wilson, I mean, he was the butt of the jokes last year. I'm not going to say he's going to turn into the guy who was a Pro Bowler anymore. Maybe that's in the back seat. I think he's too big of a competitor and stuff for him not to rebound from the just complete S show that was his year last year. So,
Lugs, you're a big fan of Bailey Zappi.
I am.
And Carson Wentz, if I remember wrongly.
I don't know.
No, he was never a fan. I think that was me. I defended Carson Wentz. I threw in the towel on that one.
Hey, let me show this wild card here. Cam Newton, bring him back. He could be a backup. He'd be better than Hoyer for sure.
I think I'm being selfish on this. That means he might have to give up doing his Funky Friday podcast. And I don't know if you've watched any of his Funky Friday podcasts. The way he dresses, I don't know if I can live in a world where that is denied from me. Yeah.
Well, he always, in the interviews after post game, he was always dressed, shall we say, sparkling.
The greatest moment in Jimmy Garoppolo's career so far, in my humble opinion, 2021 playoff game at Lambeau against the Packers. And they beat the Packers on Robbie Gould's kick. Do you remember that? And it was great. And Jimmy was caught on mic saying to Robbie as they passed each other, F the Packers, man. Good job. And that's the highlight of his life because everybody, that was, when Rodgers was trying to, whatever Rodgers does, and everybody was kind of thrilled about that. And it was caught on mic.
Well, the Raiders are all in with Garoppolo. I mean, they're going to live and die this season with him no matter what. It just, they got no place to go. It's like,
true.
You got Josh McDaniels, who really, I don't think he's a head coach. I just don't. And then you got the crazy owner. I mean, Al has to be turning over in his grave that the son is doing what he's doing to that team. It's crazy. So
I just don't think they can compete in that division, like T-Dog said, with Mahomes and the Chargers. And come on, it's not happening. Not to mention, like you said, the Broncos and our new friend of the show, head coach.
Yeah.
And like I said, even if Garoppolo is healthy, if you look at just how stacked the quarterbacks are in that conference, I mean, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but you're talking about in the AFC East, you do have Aaron Rodgers, you do have Tua in that offense. You know, you have Josh Allen, and then you have Burrow in the north, and I think Deshaun Watson will bounce back this season. But
And Lamar.
Lamar possibly. I think this is the early. Now I'm not gonna say wild ass prediction, but I think Lamar will be definitely in the MVP discussions at the end of this year. I'm not gonna say he's gonna win an MVP.
Good, but
I think he's definitely gonna bounce back to that level this year.
Yeah, he's got a point to prove. He really does.
Yeah, I think he's hurt, and I'm not gonna say all those rookies in the South are gonna work out, but I find them all intriguing. And then you have Trevor Lawrence, who looks like possibly he's a top 5 quarterback maybe at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have all these teams, and you went with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know they couldn't get any of the top 3 quarterbacks, but they could have drafted Will Levis, but they decided not to. And I'm not saying that's not the right decision, but man, when you could at least have fallen back on that if Garoppolo
it's looking bad now
had this injury. So yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Well, they're playing for the first round pick next year, aren't they? Honestly, I mean, so they'll get the Williams kid out of USC.
Well, we'll get into that. I don't think they'll have the opportunity to have the first overall pick. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the Cardinals have that pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered to some degree.
Wow. All right.
But how do they offload all that salary that they've got tied up in our kid who's too short to play?
Here we go.
Oh, Kyler Murray.
Here we go.
Yeah.
You want to get into it now?
Sure.
Go.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, let's get into it now. All right. So Arizona Cardinals. Yes, because we can do both. We can do 2 birds, 1 stone with this. They cut DeAndre Hopkins, and they could fall behind that he decided not to play 2 meaningless games. Last year is like this is why we're letting him go. Like obviously that's fairly weak. They're letting him go because they want to eat the $21 million in dead cap this year, so it'll be off the slates next year. Yeah, because they might have to eat some dead cap next year, possibly if they let go of Kyler. Whoa. They don't want to. So, and I'm not going to say because I still think the amount of money they'll have to eat on Kyler if they even try to do that would be insane. I think if you look at what Arizona did in the draft, which I applaud them for, Murray is a talented quarterback. But he was not brought in by the GM Monty Ossenfort. He was not brought in by the coach Rich Gannon. They have nothing to do with him when he was brought into this organization. And 9 times out of 10, that quarterback gets moved on when they are not those 2 positions guy. So
what you're saying is this is your wild ass prediction. Kyler Murray, bye-bye after this next season.
Yes, because they're going to have a high enough draft pick on their own because they're going to be bad. Because if you look at their roster, and I know later in the year we'll go through the divisions, they are woefully bad on personnel. So they have a shot at either getting Caleb Williams or Drake May. And with the Texans pick, because remember, they were the 3rd overall pick and they traded out. There's a chance the Texans aren't really good. So they can get either the quarterback with their pick or the Texans picks, or they can get, with the other high pick, they can get Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver out of Ohio State. So, because their draft capital just for next year, they have the Texans number 1. They have the Texans 3rd overall pick. They have the Titans 3rd pick. And they have the Eagles 5th pick in 2024. They have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. So they're going to have a lot of draft capital next year to load up their roster and also, load up the roster not only with talent but cheap talent. And, they got Paris Johnson Jr., the tackle out of Ohio State this year, and that's who Kyler Murray wanted. But, again, I don't think they got it for Kyler Murray. Maybe to placate and make him feel good for now, and then they're going to cut him at the knee. And, they brought in Clayton Tune, who is an interesting backup, who has experience and talent and size to maybe be maybe the starter for this year till Kyler Murray gets healthy, and then maybe he's a starter early on next year before Caleb Williams, Drake May gets up to speed. I don't know. But,
so, Lugs, it sounds like T-Dog just gave you your Christmas present in late May, where he agrees with you that Kyler will be gone.
Yeah,
You were predicting this, 1987? Early on in the...
before his birth, probably.
Before podcasts.
Yeah, he is, again, one of those smaller players that I just don't think can hold up to what is coming at you. I mean, in college, maybe you've got 3 seconds. In the pros, you got about 1 second to know where to send that ball. And we all know that he can't stay in the pocket. He has to run to the outside to be able to see the field. Plus, I mean, he's more into video games than he is into really practicing his profession. When you put into a contract that he has to show up for meetings and stuff instead of playing video games, that lets you know right off. I mean, this guy, he got his money, and he's done.
So they said to him, son, can you see the field? No, coach, I can't. I have to run outside.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
about it?
People love, other teams love the Cardinals because they know going in, hey, baby, all we got to do is show up and smack this guy once. He'll go down and start crying and be on the sidelines. So, I don't want to take that hit no more.
Okay, cry, baby, cry. All right, Tito, help me out here, man. What is happening?
I will, and I'll just to wrap up on the Cardinals, and I'll go into Nuke. I just want to say I still think Kyler Murray has enough talent to be a good quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to be a top 10 quarterback, mainly for the point Lug said. I don't know if he's ever going to have the durability that you trust him to maybe be a true franchise guy. Maybe if you're a front office on the hot seat and you just need someone to come in who maybe short term can help, give you some juice and maybe get that contract extension. Maybe that's what Kyler's going to be, is this like ultra talented quasi journeyman for maybe like a 4-year shelf life. But on the other side of it, with cutting Nuke, it was interesting because kind of going with what Lug said, he talked about how he wanted to play with a quarterback who he knows loves the game and like plays at a high level and like motivates the team. And it's funny, he backtracked. He's like, I'm not saying that he's like, like Kyler Murray loves the game, but he said that after like kind of, I think, coming to the realization as he spoke the words, like, oh my God, I'm throwing him under the bus. And then he said also Colt McCoy. And it's just like, all right, it's too late. We already know what you're saying. He said Hopkins says he wants to play with Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert. Shocking that a wide receiver want to play with any of those quarterbacks. But I mean, let's be real here. If you look at the salary cap that Bills and Chiefs have, I don't know what type of salary gymnastics they're going to have to do. It's going to be very impressive to say if he gets on either of those teams. Eagles don't need him. I mean, look, he's a great player, but like Eagles have 2 high-level young wide receivers. And Chargers, I like DeAndre Hopkins. I know this is all going to sound negative talking about him. In terms of foot speed, he's slow. Chargers don't need another slow receiver. They have enough of those guys. I think the Ravens make sense, even though they did already get Odell, because they could maybe slide him in. But here's the thing he's going to have to eat. One of the reasons he kind of got out of this is he wanted money. And the thing is he's going to have to lower his price if he wants to play for those teams, because he's had injuries and suspensions the last 2 years. He's about to turn 31 early June. And, he also doesn't have representation. He's using that Saint Omni guy, the guy who was working with Roquan and Laramie Tunsil, where the NFL has told teams not to negotiate with him because he's not a certified agent. So I don't know when Nuke finds his home. If I'm going to guess 2 teams, if he's willing to want to play for a true competitive team, I think he goes to Baltimore and he plays on a reduced rate. If he wants the money and he maybe can still go to a competitive team, I think if you look at the Panthers, I believe they're second in salary cap money available after Chicago. I think he can go there. And obviously, I think Bryce Young is talented. I know we're all worried about his durability, but they have like a fairly good roster, and the NFC South is very doable for anyone to win in that division. So I think it's either Ravens or Panthers. That's where it goes.
See, I would say Bucks or Jets.
Jets.
Because, for all the craziness you get with Aaron Rodgers, we all know that he is a guy who can throw a person open. And that would work with DeAndre.
And they did want Odell, and obviously Odell's off the market. So I'd agree with you on the Jets one. I'm not saying he couldn't go to the Bucks, but the Bucks are kind of in the same situation as the Chiefs. If you look at the cap available for them, they'd have to do crazy salary gymnastics to get it on the Bucks. But Jets, I agree with you. Actually, Jets might be a legitimate one too. So I don't know, Jay Boy, do you have a team you think
I do like Lugs's idea of the JETS Jets. I would not have thought about that, but I like it. I think it would just let's throw another little drama into the NFL season. One more slice of pie that gives everybody something to talk about in the offseason to just obliterate baseball altogether. That's what they're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So let's see that one go.
Yeah.
All right. We've got some more NFL news, but we've got other stuff. But first, we have sports of yesteryear. Lugs, are you warmed up coming in out of the bullpen?
All right. Yes, I am.
Bring it along. Go ahead.
This is a very special sports of yesteryear. 1911 at the first Indianapolis 500, Ray Haroon, driving a Marmon Wasp for Nordyke and Marmon Company, comes out of retirement to win the inaugural event. His average speed was 74 miles per hour. Wow. Compare that to this year's winner, Joseph Newgarden, who averaged 168 miles per hour. 1927, Hall of Fame pitcher Walter Johnson records his 110th and final shutout of his career, the most in Major League history. The Senators win 3-0 over the Red Sox. 1942, Satchel Paige pitches 5 innings to defeat Dizzy Dean All-Stars 8-1. Now, here's an odd moment in sports history. 1970, Detroit Tigers Al Kaline collides with teammate Jim Northrup, causing Al Kaline to swallow his tongue, and he begins choking. His teammate Willie Horton races over from left field, pries open Kaline's jaw, pulls his tongue out of the way. Kaline starts to breathe, but his jaw clamps down on Willie's hand, creating a scar that he still has today. With Horton's help, Kaline began breathing and was taken to an area hospital where he was observed overnight and released the next day. Now, here we go. This past Saturday, we pride ourselves on giving you the breadth and depth of sports here.
We do?
The Sport Whistle.
Okay.
This past Saturday, an event we've highlighted before in sports of yesteryear, it was the cheese rolling race in Gloucester, England, and it was won by a 19-year-old Canadian, Delaney Irving, who not only made it to the bottom of Cooper Hill the fastest, but also concussed herself in the process when she face-planted crossing the finish line. Delaney says she doesn't remember anything about the race, but she will enjoy the 22-pound wheel of cheese presented to each year's winner. That's it for this special edition of Sports of Yesteryear.
A 22-pound wheel of cheese. Seriously? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Do you have to get like 2 ice boxes and just cut them up, or how do you keep that stuff good?
Hey, man, if it's cheddar, it'll last 1,000 years. It'll get a little hard on the outside.
You keep that wax. Just keep it in that wax.
You can use it as a spare tire.
Keep it in the trunk of your car next to the spare.
Yeah.
Now, would you inflate that to 50 pounds, or did that just go to 35 pounds, pressure?
Well, it just depends
PSI.
on your vehicle.
And the mileage may vary depending on how you drive.
Exactly.
Okay, LK line Willie Horton. I'm kind of stuck on that, Lugs. Thanks for that memory. That'll be with me for a while. My first baseball mitt as a child was Willie Horton model, a Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are
Well,
excited about that too. I'm really glad that you are. Yeah.
Pop it into the mitt.
Yeah. Willie Horton. And
I think that was Willie Horton's big moment, really.
He was a bit of a rotund guy who did spank some home runs, but not much, I don't think. We'll have to get our crack team on that one.
Yeah. But anyway.
All right, so let's move along. And T-Dog, you had an interesting scenario about minor league baseball. And this would be, for our listeners out there, our other stuff department. What was your thought on this?
So you want me to do mine?
Yeah, and
first?
set it up and tell us. Yeah, then go.
All right. So the whole idea is if you were running a minor league team, since everyone has like specialty nights just to try to bring fans in, like most teams do like a Star Wars night, right? Most of them do like a dog that can catch frisbees and maybe play like a keyboard. I don't know.
Yep.
So like they have that. They usually have like a fireworks show on like 4th of July. Right.
Yep. Sure.
Maybe have like a guy.
Some of them have fireworks shows every Friday night.
That's not bad. That's maybe not a bad idea. But here's mine. So mine is, unfortunately, the holiday I want to celebrate. It doesn't really fall in baseball. It's a little too late.
Well, it's okay.
But it's okay. Yeah, it's okay because there's Christmas in July, so I'm going to do Halloween in May.
Halloween in May.
So my tribute is this. Particularly to the Louisville Bats, where we're at.
Yeah.
A tribute to a movie from 1985 called Return of the Living Dead, where the movie takes place in Louisville. Forget that there's a palm tree in one scene. It takes place in Louisville. So you have everyone that is working at the facility, like the popcorn concessions and, like the beer people going up and down the aisles. They all start normal. And then after the first inning, you show the scene where the guy opens the trioxin canister, and then you have fog machines erupt into sections of the stadium.
Nice.
And then each inning, more and more employees come out and start looking like zombies. So during the 7th inning stretch, an ambulance comes out on the field. And the EMT gets out of the vehicle and then gets swarmed by all these people that look like zombies. And one of them gets on the loudspeaker and says, "Send more paramedics." And then you cue "Party Time" from the 45 Grave, which is on the soundtrack of the movie. And trust me.
Wow, you've thought this through, man. You've thought this through.
I did. And then at the end of the game, you show the scene where the military launches the nukes on the city. And then you have the lights go out and then the fireworks shoot off. And then, people afterwards, people can come to the game dressed as zombies and, maybe you give a great prize. There's a famous zombie in the movie called Tar Man. Whoever is the best dressed as Tar Man wins like an award. So that's my idea. The Return of the Living Dead Day.
Wow. So, attaboy. That's good. I like it.
Yeah.
What about you, Lugs? You got anything?
Well, I think we need to bring back some of that old stuff from yesteryear.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. My first professional baseball game, I went with the family to Asheville Tourist. And the Asheville Tourist are single A. It's like 19-year-old guys. Anyway, they had a doubleheader. And they had Hank the Human Cannonball in between the games. Now, I was like, as I recall, I was like 8 years old. So when this tractor trailer came backing in from the outfield, and backed up to first base with his cannon on it, was like, what is this? And then another on a flatbed on the other side of the field at third base came backing in with a net, and they shot Hank the Human Cannonball. And I'm, as a kid, you're just like, well, hell, this is cartoons. This is cool. But I thought about it, like later years. What if they miss? Hank's going to wipe out, the dugout or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's my first memory. But I think we should bring some of that stuff back.
The old 3-ring circus kind of thing.
Yeah, just for the fun of it. But, I guess liability being what it is now. You know, it's like I have one more quickie. Buddy of mine came to visit town back when the Louisville team was Redbirds.
Yeah.
And they brought in a guy called Captain Dynamite. And his thing was he blew himself up at second base. They put him in this coffin-like structure.
He did.
And it had like a quarter stick of dynamite on each side. And it had like an old cheap Bell helmet on. So they blew him up. Now, I've got all this on videotape because I always, in those days, was shooting everything. And my buddy Mike wanted to talk to Captain Dynamite. So we run down as he's coming off the field and we catch him. And Mike's going, Captain Dynamite, Captain Dynamite. Hey, could you talk to us? And Captain Dynamite goes, what? 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 And the man
He can't hear you.
He's blown out his ears.
Oh, man. You guys got me beat, man. I just have some real-life experience ones that I've encountered. One, all-time favorite, Myron Noodleman, Jerry Lewis, Nutty Professor knockoff, a guy named Rick Hader. He passed away of cancer about 6 years ago, but he's the uncle to Bill Hader of Saturday Night Live. He was amazing.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, he played around with the kids and did a lot of dances, brought players out of the dugouts and stuff like that. I've seen the San Diego Chicken. He was big in the 80s. Can't remember his real name, but, he was kind of the first guy to kind of crack people up and walk on dugouts and do all that crazy stuff. But, fellas, you have to go to Milwaukee. Back in the day, County Stadium, now they've named it to American Life Field, I think. The Brewers Sausage Race, 7th inning. Johnsonville Bratwurst brings out these. You've seen it, right? And
Yes.
remember a couple of years ago, a Pittsburgh Pirate tripped one of those guys and was blackballed.
Somebody hit one with a bat.
That was it. One of the Pirates did.
Popped one of the Johnsonvilles in the top of the head with a bat.
He hit him good. But that's a killer. But the best of all is this. St. Paul Saints. Now they're in AAA with the Bats, same division. But they played at the old State Fairgrounds in St. Paul, Minnesota. And get this, in left field, there was a cutout in the wall, and they had a walk-up fast food window from a sponsor. So the left fielder would place his order, and the door would pop open, and an arm would come out with a bag full of fast food, and he'd say thanks, and then be like, don't forget to get down to whatever, Rallies, Arby's, I don't know what it was, but it was amazing. And they also had, because it was up north there, don't you know, they had canoe races on the field with dry land, and you had to push the canoe with somebody in it, like from home to third base to win. It was torture. But now they've moved to a new stadium, and they've got out of that dingy, classic old place, and it's a little bit more antiseptic and not nearly as fun, but anyway, minor league baseball is the best for all this stuff. And one time, too, remember the quick change people on America's Got Talent? The woman would just change dresses, like they just kept pulling, and she'd be purple, yellow, blue, whatever. They had them at the Louisville Bats game. She sat up behind home plate there, like near the circles. And I was right there, and I could not tell even close up how she did it. But there's always something. Don't miss them. Go take advantage of it. You're right. It's the best.
To me, that's the best baseball, is that you go to the stadium or whatever. The last time that I saw anybody was the Superstars, and they were pretty much fun. And that's two guys from Louisville who managed those guys. They just about went out of business because of COVID.
Harry Canary.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a whole cast of them.
LeBronco James.
Yeah.
And something Bonds, Barry Bonds. What was that one? Oh, that was steroids. I think that's different. No. But they were good. You're right. Those guys are good. The big inflated, where the guy would, inside the suit with the inflated big body thing.
And that
Super.
They are funny to watch run, so.
Back to the sausage race. Right. That's just fun to watch it run.
I was going to ask you all, so do you all think, is there like agents for these people, or do they do their own bookings, or
agents?
How does that? They have an agent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I read up on Noodleman, and so he entered a Halloween T-Dog.
Yeah.
A Halloween contest at a bar, and he dressed up in that Jerry Lewis character, and he won. So he said, well, this is pretty good. I could make money at this. So he hooked up with a friend of his, and they booked him at like 100 dates a year, and he was a high school algebra teacher from Wichita. But this is what he did in the summer.
Okay. Wow.
Agent. Yeah. And he played
Wow.
Louisville, Asheville, Lexington, Des Moines.
Minor leagues.
Yeah, all minor league places. Wilkes-Barre, wherever.
That'd be such a fascinating job, being an agent for the minor league attractions.
The must-have minor league guy.
Yeah.
You got to have this guy.
Airbud's screwing me over again. I really need you to cover these games in Wichita. Can you do that for me, Noodleman?
Yeah, that
Airbud
Noodleman.
really dicked me over.
Hey, can you imagine they show up at the ballpark and say, "Oh crap, it's $2 beer night. This is never going to be any fun." These guys will get wasted and throw crap at them and mess with them. Oh gosh. Anyway, what else do we want to do in this episode of the fine program? Did I miss something?
I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
All right, well then let's bring it to a close here. Let me find the big close. We've got a big close for this show, Yes, we do. This has been Sports and Other Stuff brought to you by Big Top TV. Yes, that's the big screen store, provider of those big 90-inch flat screens on our set. Shield your eyes and stop in and ask for the best salesman there. His name is
Fish. And this week, to celebrate the King's chart-topping hit in 1969, Suspicious Minds. It was the last #1 the King ever recorded. Topped the charts for 7 weeks. This Saturday at 1 p.m., Fish will host a tribute to the King, headlined by Elvis impersonator and Yankee fan Roger Taylor. Put on your blue suede shoes, come on down, enjoy a fried peanut butter and banana sandwich, and toast the King with his favorite Coca-Cola.
Thank you very much. All right, so we're Sports and Other Stuff. We wish you good hunting, fishing, boating, and Elvis watching. So long till next time. Bye-bye.